For many migrants in Italy, especially those who are women, POC, queer, or undocumented, daily life is shaped by structural intersectionality, a term coined by Kimberly Crenshaw. Legal precarity, language barriers, and racial discrimination don't exist separately, they intersect. As Crenshaw writes, if we aren't intersectional, some of us, the most vulnerable, are going to fall through the cracks.
In the labor market, this plays out as double discrimination. Foreign women are paid less, valued less, and pushed into domestic or care work roles that both sustain Italian households and reproduce gendered inequalities.
Sociologist Jacqueline Andal argues that Italy's feminist movements often overlook this dynamic. Migrant women's labor, she says, enabled Italian women's emancipation, yet reinforced their own marginalization. For example, there are many gendered jobs migrant women face that are not only criminalized, but forces them into harsher circumstances.
When I got here, they took my passport, and they said to me, "You need to reimburse your debt of 65,000 euros. And then I understood I was in the hands of traffickers. I became a slave. For the client, you're just a product that they can use as they like. They can stub their cigarette out on your skin or hit you. And we were supposed to keep smiling to show the clients that we were consenting adults and that we had decided ourselves to become prostitutes."
While many have fought for female and LGBTQ+ liberation, it must be acknowledged that these movements tend to focus on European citizen experiences. Now, what about women migrants, queer migrants, or queer women migrants? Well, they're often left in between, underrepresented in both struggles.
In media, honing back to Crenshaw's explanation of intersectionality, migrant women and queer people in Italy are often perceived as threats to normalcy, rarely complex and never the protagonist. Crenshaw calls this representational intersectionality, a lens into whose stories are told and whose are left behind.
But what happens when spaces are created with these realities in mind? Lucha e Siesta, a feminist shelter in Rome, is doing just that. It's more than a shelter. It's an experiment in queer-inclusive, anti-racist feminist solidarity. They find autonomy, language, mutual aid, and much more. They find community. In a system where the state often fails, they fill the cracks with care.
According to their website, Lucha y Siesta Casa de Donne is a space for feminist and trans-feminist relationships in which gender and intersectional commuting policies are developed, experimented, and practiced. It has been active since March 8, 2008, and is an anti-violence center. It's a shelter for women on their way out of violence and a cultural center. It's a place for discussion and collective growth.
Furthermore, for queer migrants in Italy, the path to safety is often blocked by invisible systems, asylum laws that ignore sexuality, shelters that don't account for gender identity, and a society that demands proof of pain before offering support. In 2023, less than 0.5% of those welcomed into Italy's national reception system identified as LGBTQ+, not because there are so few, but because most are filtered out, miscategorized, or too afraid to speak.
With the Cutcher Decree, Italy rolled back protections for those most at risk, turning vulnerability into a disqualifier, rather than a reason for care. Cities like Bologna and Naples offer models of care. In Naples, Casa Arcabelleno and Bologna services coordinated by the Public Company for Personal Services provide housing and support tailored to LGBTQ+ migrants. Rome, despite its history of activism, still lacks such infrastructure.
With this background in mind, we wanted to know a little bit more about how we could give back to these communities in Rome, to those people who are most vulnerable. So, at Lucha and Siesta, we found out about Trans March that was happening on Trans Visibility Day on March 29th. So we went to go check it out.
Per quanto riguarda il CIP, poi lo spazio aperto, pomeriggio ci saranno due gruppi musicali per cui abbiamo una sala prova gestita da.
Since statistics don't tell the whole story, we met Victoria, a queer migrant from Chile, who shared her insight with us.
Soy una mujer de 38 años y vengo de Chile, de Santiago de Chile. Los derechos de la comunidad LGTB allá en Chile están, como en todo el mundo, en este contexto fascista, en riesgo. ¿entiendes? Acá en Roma no siento mayor seguridad o mayores derechos que pudiera tener en Chile. No veo una gran diferencia pese a que este es un país europeo. Ahora, el contexto de Italia con el Vaticano y qué sé yo, puede ser un poco diverso a otro país europeo. Estoy casada con una mujer que es italiana y la burocracia para los migrantes, independientemente si son o no de la comunidad LGTB, está siendo cada vez más compleja, más complicada, porque hay muchos obstáculos, cada vez más obstáculos que hacen que en el fondo todo sea más burocrático y más difícil.
A Roma.
En el mundo, pero en Roma, este tipo de lugares simbólicos también, aparte de físicos, permiten una discusión, permiten también reconocer el posicionamiento social respecto de las personas que pertenecen a la comunidad LGTB o a alguna otra comunidad típicamente como segregada, como también la comunidad migrante, o como, en fin, todo ese tipo. Creo que es importante el encuentro, sobre todo, el encuentro, por ejemplo. Yo creo que este tema, o sea, los temas los derechos humanos trascienden las fronteras, no tienen que ver con tu nacionalidad. Es importante como darle espacio a estos. Al principio un choque cultural muy fuerte, porque es muy diferente. Aquí hay muchas ciudades está la ciudad turística, está la ciudad de los habitantes comunes, está la ciudad histórica, está la ciudad, muchas ciudades. Cada cuartiere, cada barrio es una ciudad. De alguna forma, por ejemplo, yo veo la televisión acá o leo algún periódico y siento que todavía hay una imagen de la donna, de la mujer, muy arraigada en una época de cosificación, ¿no? Que la mujer debe ser linda o que la mujer debe ser madre o con hijos. Entonces hay una figura, un deber ser de la mujer que siento que todavía a lo mejor acá en Roma, no sé si en toda Italia, está muy en la antigüedad. Entonces este tipo de instancias y de espacios también permite cuestionar esas imposiciones sociales y nos permite reconocernos entre personas que no elegimos ese como modelo de vida.
Listening to these experiences is only the beginning. For migrant and queer women in Italy, survival depends not only just on visibility, but on infrastructure. On the existence of places like Lucha y Siesta, spaces where care is political, where strength is resistance.